Mahatma Gandhi was deeply inspired by the composition of the 15th century poet Narasimha, Vaishnava Janato. He dedicated himself to striving for its meaning and ideal within his own life. The words in Gujarati describe the divine qualities of one who follows the path of truth, who feels the suffering of others, who is ever ready to serve, who is not guilty of too much pride, who fulfills goodness in thought, word, and deed, who despises no one, who adopts the entire human family as one's own, and who works for the liberation of all.
Jayanti is special for us. But this year, it's even more special. Today, we mark the conclusion of Gandhiji's 150th birth anniversary. It is a culmination of a global celebration spread over 2 years. It is also an opportunity for reflection and introspection. Very few people in the world ever had the conviction to say to humanity, "My life is my message." Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was indeed one of those noblest souls, a true Mahatma. Gandhiji changed the course of human history with his simple living and high thinking. His only weapons were truth and non-violence. He fought for freedom and peace for all. As Prime Minister Modi underlined when the celebration started, people's participation is at the heart of Gandhiji's teaching. Today, take India's any social welfare program, be it Ayushman Bharat, Digital India, Jan Dhan Yojana, or renewable energy expansion. People's participation is at the heart of each of these programs. We take inspiration from Gandhiji's teaching. Each day, not just today, we strive towards transforming Gandhiji's dreams into reality. As ambassador to the United States, let me tell you, Gandhiji's influence is not limited to one country, one region, or one generation. Gandhiji belongs to the world. He belongs to all the humanity. Gandhiji's teachings transcend time. They are as relevant today as they were a century ago, and they will remain relevant centuries hence. One of the most popular descriptions of Gandhiji was provided by Albert Einstein in 1953. And Einstein said it in Princeton, "Generations to come will scarce believe that such a one as this ever in flesh and blood walked upon this earth." In 1998, I had the privilege of being part of the team here in Washington, D.C. when the US Congress authorized Government of India to establish a memorial to Gandhiji on a federal piece of land in the District of Columbia. Mahatma Gandhi Memorial, that stands tall in front of the Embassy of India today, is a testimony to the ideals that India and United States share, the values that we cherish. The Gandhi King Bill that is currently in the US Congress is another reflection of this enduring legacy. We are also fortunate to have many congressmen join us today, sharing their experiences regarding how Mahatma Gandhi has influenced each one of them profoundly and the country as a whole. Gandhiji never traveled to the United States, but he was deeply influenced by American philosophers Thoreau and Emerson. Gandhiji mentioned in his letter to the then US President Franklin Roosevelt in 1942, and I quote, "I miss twice coming to your great country." Gandhiji's philosophy has inspired several of great Americans, including Martin Luther King and John Lewis. Martin Luther King visited India in 1959 and in a public radio address in India said Gandhiji's principles are as inescapable as the law of gravitation. To mark the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's journey to India, Congressman John Lewis visited India in 2009 and paid a personal tribute to Gandhiji. Last year, Congressman Lewis said, "We must choose either non-violence or non-existence." Gandhiji was also an early advocate of sustainable development and environment conservation. He also stressed on sanitation and rural development. We need only to look at Gandhiji and his vision to see the way ahead. as humanity passes through these unprecedented times, I am of the firm belief that the world will be much richer, harmonious, better, and a more beautiful place to live in, if only we follow the footsteps of Gandhiji. Let us all together light the lamps of love and peace. Let us follow Bapu's ideals today and every day. Thank you.
In a world torn apart with strife, he walked a very different path. The journey and the destination were one and the same. The freedom he sought was inseparable from peace and non-violence. Deeply rooted in India's civilizational values, Gandhi channelized the timeless philosophy of peace for the realities of the contemporary world. Truth for him was both the means and the end. The desire for truth, satyagraha, was the cornerstone of Gandhian politics and philosophy. The truth for Gandhi was the threading together of the principle of Sarvodaya, holistic development for all, and Antyodaya, upliftment and dignity for the weakest. Armed with this inner truth, Gandhi created a mass mobilization unmatched by anything the world has ever seen. Picking up a handful of salt as an act of defiance, or creating the political metaphor of the charkha, the humble handloom, his symbols for India's freedom embodied not only the deep moral strength of peaceful resistance, but also the vision of sustainability of an economy with human dimensions. Nothing ever happens in isolation. With startling clarity, Gandhi saw how the crises of the modern world affect us all, and how the transition from conflict to cooperation needs a global response guided by a shared sense of humanity. His life was his message, walking together on the long road to peace and sustainability. Let us be the change we want in this world.
I'm pleased to join the people of India in celebrating the great legacy left by Mahatma Gandhi and, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. Over here on the wall of my office is a picture of me with Dr. King on his last visit to Charleston, South Carolina, just a few months before he was assassinated. And directly behind me is a likeness of Mahatma Gandhi. I celebrate these two men every day that I walk into this office and throughout my service to the people of South Carolina and the country. Thank you so much for remembering them, and Godspeed to each and every one of you.
I send my warmest wishes to everyone in India and around the world, reflecting today upon the life and message of Mohandas Gandhi. As we commemorate the anniversary of Gandhi's birth, we are reminded of the importance of Gandhi's belief in the use of non-violence to advance the causes of equality and social justice. I'm also reminded of the role that Gandhi played in the furthering of social justice here in the United States, by inspiring civil rights icons like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and my colleague John Lewis, whom we lost this year after his battle with cancer. A respected civil rights leader his whole life, John was the conscience of the Congress, and I am honored to have co-sponsored and helped further his bill to establish a Gandhi King Academy and Foundation named for two leaders who used nonviolent means to shape our nation's futures. The bill was inspired by John's trip to India in 2009 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's own pilgrimage to India. As many of you may have seen, the United States is experiencing a renewed reckoning over the unequal treatment of black Americans by instruments of government. Gandhi had called the practice of segregation a negation of civilization. And through a tumultuous summer of protest, much of which has been shaped by Gandhian principles, Americans are awakening to the reality that the unjust treatment of people of color regrettably continues to this day. Thanks to the work and inspiration of Gandhi, social movements around the world have taken and used the teachings of Gandhi to forge necessary change. I hope one day Gandhi's message remains loud, but is rendered unnecessary. Until then, as Gandhi said, the future depends on what you do today.
Hello, I'm Congressman Brad Sherman from California's best named city, Sherman Oaks. I currently serve as co-chair of the Caucus on India and Indian Americans here in the House of Representatives. Today we honor the culmination of the celebrations of Mahatma Gandhi's 150th birthday. And it's been 70 years since Gandhi's death, but his life continues to inspire. Like Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi was a messenger of truth and of nonviolence. That's why I joined with our dear departed Congressman John Lewis last year in introducing the Gandhi King Scholarly Exchange Initiative Act. This important bill passed the Foreign Affairs Committee unanimously just 2 months ago. Today we should remember Gandhi's message. All our activities should be centered in truth. Where there is no truth, there can be no true knowledge. Thank you very much. I'm Congressman Brad Sherman.
Namaste from the library of the Gandhi Memorial Center in Washington, D.C. I am Srimati Karuna, the director of the Gandhi Memorial Center, and I offer you this special message for the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. This Gandhi Jayanti, of course, is a very challenging time for all of us around the globe. But we always have the ideal, the optimism, and the universal truth to uphold, wherever we are and no matter what obstacles we face. The Gandhi Memorial Center has been an abode of peace for those seeking the self-study and the pursuit of the ideals with which Mahatma Gandhi based his life. The Gandhi Memorial Center has been an institution of educational and cultural learning, study, and sharing, presenting the life message of Mahatma Gandhi and that cultural and spiritual heritage which nourished him. Many of you have known of the Gandhi Memorial Center and its activities and work over the many decades of its existence, but perhaps some of you do not know so much about its past. Swami Premananda of India came to Washington, D.C. in 1928. As a young man, he set foot on this soil with the purpose of bringing the highest and the finest of India to this land. In 1959, Swami Premananda established the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Foundation, which was incorporated in Washington, D.C. On January 30th, 1976, the then Indian ambassador, T.N. Kaul, Swami Premananda and my predecessor as the director of the Gandhi Memorial Center, Srimati Kamala, dedicated the Gandhi Memorial Center to the dissemination of the philosophy and ideals and message of Mahatma Gandhi. Since its inception, this Gandhi Memorial Center has been a living institution, not just merely a memorial or a library, not a museum, not just for book lending, but to bring to life, to light, the inspiration, the message, and the purpose that carries us forward. Mahatma Gandhi himself said, "I am an Advaitist." He said, "I believe in the absolute oneness of God and therefore of humanity. What though we have many bodies, we have but one soul." This expression of Satya and Ahimsa was the underpinning of the whole life of Mahatma Gandhi. I share with you this message for this Gandhi Jayanti. Namaste.
Hi everyone, my name is Chrissy Houlahan and I represent Pennsylvania's 6th District here in Congress. Today, October the 2nd, we mark a historic and important day, the birth of Mahatma Gandhi, a man who left the world a better place than he found it. The world recognizes October 2nd as the International Day of Nonviolence in honor of Mahatma Gandhi's legacy. May we all aspire to emulate his work towards a more equitable society for all. I would like to take a moment as well to recognize the Council General of India in New York and the Council of Indian Organizations in Greater Philadelphia, as well as the entire Indian American community on this day for their work in highlighting Gandhi's legacy and influence for all of us. To end, I'd like to share a very favorite personal saying of mine spoken by Mahatma Gandhi. He said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." May we all continue to find ourselves through the important work of serving one another, and thank you.
Hi, I'm Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthy of the 8th District of Illinois. As the celebrations for Mahatma Gandhi's 150th birthday come to a close, I would like to thank the Indian Embassy in Washington, D.C. for carrying on Gandhi's powerful legacy and promoting his principle of nonviolence. In recognition of this, I am introducing a bipartisan resolution in Congress to celebrate the life of Mahatma Gandhi on the anniversary of his 151st birthday and to encourage the people of the United States to observe the International Day of Nonviolence. As Gandhi once said, nonviolence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. It is mightier than the mightiest weapon of destruction devised by the ingenuity of man. And it is by promoting this principle that we do justice to the legacy of a man who achieved greater justice and equality for us all. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Congressman Khanna. Mahatma Gandhi's principles of nonviolence, of satyagraha, remain so relevant to our contemporary lives. Gandhi taught us that the best fight for justice was a fight waged with the principles of nonviolence. This was not cowardice. This was not shrinking from one's duty. This was about making sure that we pursue justice through nonviolence and through our principles and standing up for those principles. My grandfather spent 4 years in jail during Gandhi's independence movement. He was an enormous influence on me, and I still take great pride and counsel from Gandhi's principles.
Namaste and greetings to my friends at the Indian Embassy and my Indian American friends who are watching and all who join us as we wrap up a 2-year celebration of the 150th anniversary of the birth of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi changed the course of human history. So many people were inspired by his actions. But when we think about his life, he had to go through so much. Think of the times that he was beaten, that he was mistreated, imprisoned, his fasting almost to the point of starvation. All of these struggles on a journey to change life in India and change life throughout the world. We know how people like Martin Luther King were inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. And this year we lost a great civil rights leader here in the United States of America, John Lewis, who always said that Mahatma Gandhi was one of his inspirations. So we thank you for recognizing his life's work. We join with you in honoring and respecting a man who made our lives better because of his life. So thank you again, Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Namaste to everyone as we honor the 150th birth anniversary of international leader Mahatma Gandhi. I'm honored to be here today to pay my respects to Gandhi, whose strategy of passive resistance inspired countless global movements. It's my hope that we can use Gandhi's message of nonviolence and love for others to work together through that which divides us. In Congress, we have a responsibility to create meaningful change and to protect and improve the health and safety of the American people. Gandhi once said, in a gentle way, he can shape the world. I believe we can best honor Gandhi's legacy by choosing to embrace our differences and dedicating ourselves to creating a world that's equitable for all. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to join in the 151st birthday celebration of the original peaceful revolutionary, Mahatma Gandhi, born October 2nd, 1869. He employed nonviolent resistance to achieve India's independence from Great Britain. His philosophy inspired many, including Dr. Martin Luther King's peaceful protests that led to our nation's civil rights legislation of the 1960s. His legacy lives on in the hearts and minds of millions around the world in the pursuit of civil rights, peace, and understanding. In these current times of unrest, both at home and abroad, I think it's important to remember that while Gandhi maintained a steadfast commitment to nonviolent means to achieve change, he never lost sight of the goal of having an India for Indians and working to create a world with less hate, violence, and oppression. One of my favorite quotes that is so true is the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. In honoring Gandhi's birthday, I hope to be able to continue to work and live up to his standard. I look forward to working to bring the U.S. and India alliance closer together so that both of our countries can work to ensure peace and prosperity for all, especially in the Indo-Pacific region. Have a great celebration.
Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava
Namaste. I am Congressman Pete Olson, working for the people in the largest and most diverse county in the entire world, the 22nd Congressional District of Texas and Fort Bend County. Today, we honor the 150th birthday of a true visionary for peace, Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi witnessed injustice against his fellow countrymen in India under British rule and chose to change it. He became the leader of India's non-violent independence movement to end British rule once and forever. He is commonly referred to as the father of India. His birthday on October 2nd is commemorated in India as Gandhi Jayanti, a national holiday, and worldwide as the International Day of Nonviolence. His legacy of peace through nonviolence still stands today as the ultimate example of resolving conflicts. I'd like to close with words from Gandhi that are nearly 150 years old, but they still ring true today. Quote, "The future depends upon what we do in the present." End quote. Happy birthday, Mahatma Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Shahid.
Hey, this is Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, and I'm honored to join the Consul General of India in New York and the Council of Indian Organizations of Greater Philadelphia in celebrating 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi and his legacy. Mahatma Gandhi was born on October 2nd, 1869 in India. After completing his education, Gandhi moved to South Africa where he experienced racial discrimination firsthand. This is what led Gandhi to live a life devoted to others. This year marks the 150th anniversary of his birth, reminding us of the great contributions and improvements to our global society that have been made through his legacy. He has inspired civil rights movements around the world and taught us the value of civil disobedience and nonviolent protest. Gandhi valiantly fought for religious freedom and encouraged individual and community self-improvement. His work has had a lasting impact on our own nation and our own values. Gandhi believed that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. As elected officials, we come together to reflect on the achievements and lasting impact that he had. In the spirit of Gandhi, I encourage everyone to observe the International Day of Nonviolence, as well as to continue to support freedom and religious freedoms and liberties around the world. And I also would like to congratulate the Consul General of India in New York and the Council of Indian Organizations for continuing to celebrate the legacy of Gandhi and for all the hard work they do every single day for Indian Americans. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Congressman Ami Barrett, and it's my great honor to help celebrate the 150th anniversary of the birth of one of my heroes, Mahatma Gandhi. He's an inspiration to all of us and certainly was an inspiration to my former colleague who we lost this year, Congressman John Lewis. It was with great reverence that we introduced the Gandhi King Scholarship that Mr. Lewis carried, which will continue to carry Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence forward. So again, let us all live by those principles of nonviolence, of togetherness, of common humanity. And again, let's celebrate the Mahatma's 150th anniversary of his birth and carry those principles forward. Thank you, and be safe and be kind.
Have an exchange program named in honor and after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi. It's like bringing together goodness and greatness, putting it on exhibit, and then having some individuals with the opportunity to experience it. You can't do much better than that, especially when you look at the fact that they come from two of the largest democracies in the world, the United States of America and the country of India.
Congressman Brad Wenstrup from Ohio's 2nd District here. October 2nd, 2020 marks the end of the 150th birth anniversary commemoration of Mahatma Gandhi. Still today, we can all continue to learn from Gandhi's teachings and honor his way of life. Just like our forefathers before us who helped shape the great nation we live in today, Gandhi believed in freedom and independence and was a leading figure in India's successful liberation from England. His passion for civil rights influenced American activists such as Martin Luther King Jr., and his strong beliefs in peaceful protest led not only his own nation to freedom, but also inspired many international movements around the globe. Mahatma Gandhi was a leader and an icon. The world continues to revere his example, and I'm proud to honor the close of his 150th birth anniversary. Thank you very much.
Hello friends, it's an honor to be with you on this very special occasion, and I'd like to thank all of you for what you're doing to make this program a success. Let me extend a very special expression of gratitude to Consul General Bhajan and also to Mr. Qatari for the work that they've done to collaborate to make this event a success. As you know, we are celebrating the 150th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's birth. And this also is the celebration of the International Day of Nonviolence, always done on October the 2nd. I have been very fortunate in my life. I've had the opportunity to travel. And I, along with a friend, Martin King III, we traveled to India and we were tracing his father's footsteps, who traced Mahatma Gandhi's footsteps. It was a wonderful experience. I had an opportunity to go to Gandhi's birthplace and to his home. I really enjoyed the experience. But more than enjoying that actual experience, it was a wonderful thing to get a closer and better understanding of what nonviolence resistance is all about. And if ever there was a time in our country when we needed nonviolence resistance, this is one of those times. As you can see, there are many things that are happening. Some of them are peacefully done, but we do have some persons who are resorting to violence. I believe that nonviolence is the way to protest. Peaceful protest is the best protest. My hope is that with this great institution and all of the persons assembled, we will spread the message of peace, love, and understanding. After all, Dr. King, who was a student of Gandhi's, indicated to us, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will perish together as fools. Thank you. God bless.
Last week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi asked at an event at the United Nations what it would have been like had Mahatma Gandhi been born in a free country. We could perhaps take that even further and ask ourselves what he would advocate today if he was amongst us. The answer obviously is not a simple one, because Gandhiji's outlook and thoughts spanned a very broad spectrum of human activity. But to the extent we can define it within sharper boundaries, they probably are best captured by the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that the world seeks to achieve today.
It's a pleasure to be with all of you as we observe the 150th birthday of Mahatma Gandhi at the same time as we observe the 90th birthday of someone who learned so much from him from a distance, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. These legacies of these two extraordinary men have forever shaped our nations and changed the course of history in both of our countries and indeed in the world. Gandhi's story of peaceful struggle to free the people of India had a meaningful impact on the lives of many Americans. For me, as the ambassador and the minister know and have referenced, this is very personal for me. I have always, since my childhood, carried India in my heart.
वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई
सकल लोक मान सहुने वंदे सकल लोक मान सहुने वंदे निंदा ना करे